Hello, scholars! Today is Monday, April 20th, 2020. And before we read and we get onto that fun stuff, I really wanted to show you a chant that I just learned. Follow with me. If you know it, do it with me. Here we go. A shimmy, shimmy, shake. A shimmy, shimmy, shake. The more I read, the more I know. The more I know, the more I grow. The more I grow, the further I go. The further I go, the further I go. That was really fun for me. Scholars, today we are going to keep learning about the problem. I know that conflict is a problem. Conflict is a. Yes, we're going to learn about the problem. We know, scholars, that every single story, every single has a conflict. It has a problem. We know that a conflict between two characters, between is called an external conflict. It's called an external. Good job. External conflict, get ready, go. External conflict is when two characters want opposite things, but they both can't get what they want. Your turn, get ready, go. External conflict is when say way to go, us. Let's do the pizza cheer, get ready, go. Sizzle, 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 not done yet. Sizzle, 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 perfect. Scholars, to figure out where there's a conflict, we figure out where there's a conflict by looking at the character's motivation. Character motivation, get ready, go. Character motivation is what the character. Say, way to go, us. Once we know the character's motivation for each character, we have to determine if each character is going to get what they want or need, or if there is going to be a conflict, or if there's going to be a. Scholars, as we read Mr. Popper's Penguins, we are thinking about all of the problems that come in the story. Let's think about all of the problems that come in the, and we are also going to be thinking about who the problem is between. Who the problem is. All right, so let's get reading. Chapter 9, in the barber shop. It was very quiet in the barber shop. The barber was shaving an elderly gentleman. Captain Cook found this spectacle very interesting, and in order to get a better view, he jumped up on the mirror ledge. "Good night," said the barber. The gentleman in the barber's chair, his face already white with lather, half lifted his head to see what had happened. "Gook," said the penguin, flapping his flippers and reaching out of his long beak towards the lather on the gentleman's face. "Look at Captain Cook here." "Well, go ahead and state what you see out loud. Go." Tracking me? Well, that is an interesting observation. Let's keep reading. With a yell and a leap, the gentleman rose from his reclining position, left the barber's chair, and fled into the street, not even stopping for his coat and hat. "Gaw!" said the captain. "Hey," said the barber to Mr. Popper, "take that thing out of my shop. This is no zoo." "What's the idea? Do you mind if I take him out of your back door?" asked Mr. Popper. "Any door," said the barber, "as long as it's quick. Now, it's biting the teeth off my combs." Mr. Popper took Captain in his arms and amid cries of "Quark, gawk, and ork," made his way out of the shop and its back room and out of a door in an alley. Captain Cook now discovered his first back stairway. Mr. Popper discovered that when a penguin has found steps going up somewhere, it is absolutely impossible to keep him from climbing them. "All right," said Mr. Popper, panting up the steps behind Captain Cook. Scholars, let's pause right here. I want to know, how does a gentleman getting his hair cut feel about Captain Cook coming into his shop? Let me ask that one more time. How does the gentleman getting his hair cut feel about Captain Cook coming into his shop? Go ahead and look for your evidence and point to your evidence. If you need more time, you can go ahead and pause the video and then you can resume the video once you have found your evidence. So go ahead and point to your evidence. Go. All right, scholars, you have found your evidence. Now, I want to know, how are they feeling? Is there feeling a positive, negative, or neutral feeling? What do you think? That is a good answer, scholars. I do think that their feeling is a negative feeling. I think that this might be a negative feeling. Let's look at our evidence first. My evidence was that with a yell and a leap, the gentleman rose from his clinging position, left the barber's chair, and fled into the streets, not even stopping for his coat and hat. And I know that if somebody leaves somewhere just very quickly and don't even get their belongings, don't even stop and get their belongings or come back for them, maybe this person is either upset or maybe even startled or even shocked. I know that this would not be a positive trait because he left. He ran out as fast as he could. I wonder if your feeling was the same as mine or maybe even better. Scholars, looking at page 59, what do you think the problem is now? What do you think the problem is now? Ooh, I know that problem is a conflict, so let's look for our evidence and see if we can find a conflict in this evidence. Get ready. Go. If you need more time, scholars, feel free to pause your video as you are looking for your evidence. Now that you have found your evidence, what is the problem? Let's look at our chart very quickly. What is the problem? Let's think about it. If you have a pencil and a paper right next to you, write it down and tell me who the conflict is between. I will give you about 1 minute. Get ready. Go. Well, scholars, that is great evidence. My evidence was when Mr. Popper on page 59, it says, "Hey," said the barber to Mr. Popper, "take that thing out of my shop. This is not a zoo. What's the idea?" And if I kept reading, this just tells me and this supports that the barber doesn't even want to have the penguin or Captain Cook with him. So I want to know too, what did you write on your chart? What did you write on your chart? Today, scholars, I actually want you to pause right here, tell your mom or your dad to take a picture of it and send it to your teacher, and I will give you a shout out. Whoa, I cannot wait to see those great answers. Let's keep reading. I suppose being a bird and one that can't fly, you have to go up in the air somehow, so you like to climb stairs. Well, it's a good thing this building has only 3 stories. Come on, let's see what you can do. Slowly but unwaringly, Captain Cook lifted one pink foot after another from one step to the next, followed by Mr. Popper at the other end of the clothesline. At last they came to the top landing. Now what? Inquired Mr. Popper of Captain Cook. Finding there were no more steps to climb, Captain Cook turned around and surveyed the steps that now went down. Then he raised the flippers and leaned forward. Mr. Popper, who was still panting for breath, had not supposed the determined bird would plunge so quickly. He should have remembered that penguins will toboggan whenever they get a chance. Ooh, let's pause right here, scholars. I want to show you what toboggan means. This is how penguins toboggan. Super cool. Let's keep reading. Perhaps he had been unwise in tying one end of the clothesline to his own wrist. At any rate, this time Mr. Popper found himself suddenly sliding on his own white-clad stomach down the 3 flights of steps. This delighted the penguin, who was enjoying his own slide just ahead of Mr. Popper. When they reached the bottom, Captain Cook was so eager to go up again that Mr. Popper had to call a taxi to distract him. 432 Proudfoot Avenue, said Mr. Popper to the driver. The driver, who was a kind and polite man, did not laugh at his oddly assorted passengers until he had been paid. "Oh dear," said Mrs. Popper when she opened the door to her husband. "You looked so neat and handsome when you started for your walk. And now look at the front of you." "I'm sorry, my love," said Mr. Popper in a humble tone, "but you can't always tell what a penguin will do next." So saying, he went to lie down, for he was quite exhausted from all the unusual exercise, while Captain Cook had a shower and took a nap in the icebox. Scholars, I want to know, how did Mr. Popper change throughout this chapter? I know that character change is how the character changes from the beginning to the end of the story. So, how did he change? How did he change? So, in order for us to find character change, in order for us to find, we have to go back to the chapter, say rewind. Let's go back to the beginning of the chapter and let's see, how was he feeling in the beginning of the story? How was he feeling in the beginning of the story? Can you figure out how he was feeling and maybe give me a character trait to describe him? Now, let's look at the end of the story. How was Mr. Popper feeling at the end of the story? I know, scholars, if there is a change, if the 2 character traits are different, if they are, that means that the character changed. That means that the character, so how did they change? Get ready. I want you to give me your best answer. Get ready. Go. That is a good answer, scholars. I also think that maybe Mr. Popper was a little bit clean and tidy in the beginning of the story. And then at the end of the story, when he was exhausted, when he took out Mr. Penguin for a walk, he felt maybe a little bit Actually, Miss Soto got tricked. He didn't feel. He was messy. And maybe I can say a little bit lazy. I wonder if your character traits matched with mine. I sustained, I went back to the beginning of the chapter in order to find my character traits. And I went to the end of the chapter. I kind of remembered it because I was paying close attention to what was happening. And I gave you my character trait. So guys, before I leave and before I leave you, my shout out today goes to, drumroll please, Maverick Diaz, because he showed me his anger chart. He finished it and did it with me last week. I wonder if you can also get a shout out this following week, or tell your mom to send your picture to your teachers and your work to your teachers, and hopefully I'll be able to give you a shout out too. Have a wonderful day, scholars, and I cannot wait to talk to you tomorrow. Goodbye.